Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm just back from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo for 2016, and I'm cutting together the footage of that. It was a good show, not as good as previous years. I'll get into that in my next video, but I got quite a few pickups, so as per usual, I'm doing this as a separate video. What did I actually get in Portland? Now, there's a lot, so let me just start into it here. First thing, got a couple of posters. They're still in the tube here. So you'll be seeing them above the couch in future videos. It's a Darkstalkers poster and also a Gradius poster, which are quite nice looking. Secondly, I'm going to do this one because it's big and bulky and a bit of a mystery item. I got this in, I think these guys are called the Junkyard or something like that. You'll see them in the footage. They have essentially a giant bin full of all kinds of hardware, bits and pieces. You name it, just make an offer or whatever, they'll sell you. And this particular thing is of use or of interest to me because I haven't actually mentioned it on my channel yet, but I've got a Sega Game Gear. Now, I haven't shown it off yet because it's not quite ready for prime time. The capacitors inside have had the old problem of they've drained out, and as a result the screen is really dim and the sound doesn't really work very well. I mean, it's fine with headphones plugged in, but the sound is almost inaudible for the external speakers. So I need that thing to get tuned up and fixed up by somebody. If anybody knows a service that offers fixing up Sega Game Gears, let me know in the comments below. But this is something that I thought would be very handy for the Game Gear. When I opened it up, I saw inside two items. This is the TV tuner, and I know it won't work, and it still needs some cleaning, but it was in the case. More importantly, though, the power supply. And I did my research before I left. They said you want to get the yellow-tipped one, either model, and I can't remember the two, but this one is one of them, MK2103, and I can't remember what the other model is. I've tested it. It totally works. Now, that's sort of significant because when I got this black case of mystery items, I started putting some of the other stuff that I'm about to show you in here. I thought, well, there's a handy little case for carrying the stuff around. But then I noticed there's like black grit all over everything inside. And when I had another closer look, this stuff was covered in some kind of gross, like black sawdust almost of plastic. Even in here, I put a few items in this little pocket thing here. Even they were getting covered with whatever this grit was. So I just thought, ooh, maybe the power supply doesn't work. I can't really test the TV tuner because those TV channels don't exist anymore. But what I did was I actually cleaned the whole thing out. It seems to be pretty nice. I did plug in the Sega Game Gear to that power supply, and it does work, so that's a good sign. So at least one part of it, and the whole thing, the box, the TV tuner, and that power supply, 15 bucks. I'm sure as heck not going to argue with that. That's a great start to my collection. On the subject of the Game Gear then, what games did I pick up for it? Well, I got Terminator 2. It says 6 bucks, but the guy actually just knocked it down to 5. I haven't heard great things about the Terminator 2 game for the Game Gear, but I thought, yeah, what the heck, I'm going to give it a whirl. Tato Chase HQ for 5 bucks. I've looked at the Game Boy version of this, and actually the Game Gear one looks like it runs really nicely, so very happy that I got that one. And then I also, wait a minute, Judge Dredd, what's that doing in there? Anyway, and then finally, also got Road Rash. This is also another case of a game that I have seen runs very nicely and looks pretty good on the Game Gear compared to the Game Boy. Then I got some PlayStation 1 stuff. I got Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit, which with the Nijicon controller I think is going to be a lot of fun. I got Steel Rain, which is a tank game, and you're going to notice I have a bit of a theme here. There's quite a few tank games in this pickups video. And finally, Panzer Front, also for the PS1. This is a very cool looking simulation style game of driving a tank around. Like, it doesn't look like it's cartoony or arcade action in any way. This seems like it's a very genuine attempt at driving around a real tank. So looking forward to trying that out. There's another reason Steel Rain and Panzerfront were things that I were interested in purchasing this year, but I'll save that for another video. And then somebody had a memory card for $2, so I thought, yeah, I'll pick that up. Another tank game I got was Super Battle Tank 2 for the Super NES. This is actually a game I didn't know existed until I happened to be researching games for the Game Gear. And there is a Game Gear version of the Super Battle Tank series, but as I checked YouTube, I then discovered both the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo versions looked a heck of a lot better. And what I liked about the Super Battle Tank 2 for the Super NES is I think it uses the shoulder buttons on that controller for a much better way of controlling the tank and moving your turret around and shooting. So looking forward to trying this one out. Not quite a tank game, but a mech game I got was Robotech Battle Cry for the GameCube. This is actually related to the other tank games, but again, forthcoming video on why. I visited the Atari Age booth, and while I was there, I picked up a Harmony cartridge. Now, I already have a Harmony cartridge for my Atari, but it was one of the first run versions, and it didn't really, this little plate, when I plugged it in and unplugged it, the little catch here wouldn't always open properly. So I thought, okay, I want to get, as a result, I never liked taking my Harmony cartridge out of my Atari. So this one, I thought, I'm going to get a newer run version and hope that the thing plugs in and out pretty often. I could have got a souped up version of the Harmony cartridge that actually uses a lot more RAM internally for playing newer homebrew games, but my Atari is not a genuine original 2600, it's actually a flashback that's been modded, and as a result, I don't think it's going to play a lot of those homebrews that take advantage of this piece of souped up hardware. Now, the same booth where I got the Sega Game Gear power supply had a whole bunch of other bits of hardware, among which was a black Wii remote, and when I did my Winchester-style light gun controller, I mentioned I need a black Wii remote. And I just noticed as I was unpacking it this morning, this one's got built-in Wii Motion Plus, so that's a bit of a bonus. It's even got the rubber outer casing, which I won't really need because I'm going to be putting it inside that Winchester. And then I was looking for a black nunchuck, and I did get one, but this is actually a third party, and I don't know that this is going to fit inside that Winchester handle very well. It is a slightly different shape, but the guy didn't charge me any money at all for this. He just said, yeah, just take it with the other stuff I was buying, so for free, I'll totally give it a whirl. Alright, almost done. Last Christmas I mentioned I got the Game Boy Advanced SP, the 101 with the backlit screen. The guy who sold it to me for a very reasonable price, out of the Atari Age group actually, he actually sold it to me with a really nice carrying case. It's like a steel little box, which is great, very safe, very secure, but it's also not very portable. So, while I was at the show, I thought I want to get another Advanced SP carrying case, and I got this one. It was $10, and in fact, the guy who was selling it even said if you buy two, you get one free. You didn't need another one, but I think that'll look pretty good. You know, the controller will go in there, and I've got room for some games. That's a much more portable option for carrying around SP games. And then for the GBA, I got Iridium 2. I've actually got Iridium 3, and I thought it was the one I wanted, but the sequel I was looking for is actually Iridium 2. I'll be doing a video about that. And here's a game I've been looking for quite a while. Super Street Fighter Turbo Revival, I think it's called. I have seen this in some stores. In fact, I saw it on my UK trip and I nearly picked it up there, but it was quite expensive. I think they wanted £10 for it, and I thought, whoa, no way. That's too much for a Game Boy Advance game. And then when I got to Portland, I saw, yeah, it's $20 for this thing. So I guess this is a bit of a, if not a rare item, something that people are going to want to buy, and therefore you're never going to get it for the same price as your standard GBA game. So regrettably, yes, I'll pay $20 for it. It's a really, really good version of Street Fighter for the Game Boy. So yeah, I succumbed to my need for the game, so I got it for $20. Since I've got a Game Boy Advance SP, it'll also play original Game Boy games and Game Boy Color. So that was a big thing I was looking for. What are some titles that I can pick up for that? Among which I found things like the Defender Joust combo pack, which I'm interested to do a video because I want to see what is Defender like for the Game Boy. I really like Defender, but I find it very, very challenging, very, very hard. Is this Game Boy version quite playable? We'll see. Next was Radar Mission, just looked like a bit of fun, $5. Crash Test Dummies, another $5. This one looks kind of cool. It almost looks like Donkey Kong or even Fix-It Felix. So I'm going to try that one out. F1 Race, a very nice looking little racing game. Speaking of racing games for the Game Boy, this is one Power Racer that I've seen that looks really neat. I think it's a lot like Slot Racers for the Atari 2600. And I had heard this was actually quite a rare game. I haven't seen it in any other shows or auctions or anything like that. But I got it, I believe, the same place I got this case, and the guy only wanted a couple of bucks for it. So either he wasn't aware of the value, but I don't think so. He was checking eBay every time he sold something. Or maybe this isn't such a rare one after all. I got Space Invaders for the Game Boy, and there's a bit of a story to that one, so I'll set it off to the side here. As an Atari fan, of course, I had to get Yar's Revenge. Now, I had heard this was for the Game Boy Color. This is a black Game Boy case, and so therefore it will play in the color version, but I had thought it was like a Game Boy Color game, you know, with the clear green plastic shell where you can see the circuit board underneath. And I kept thinking, did I get the wrong game? Is this just Yar's Revenge for the Game Boy Advance? Or sorry, the original Game Boy, and the Game Boy Color one is some souped up sequel? Not that I could find, so I'm thinking this is the right Yar's Revenge for the Game Boy Color. And finally, the last of the Game Boy games is actually, I think, a prototype. This is Resident Evil, which is a ROM that got released, and these guys have put it onto cartridges. I saw a video of this, and I thought that's pretty impressive that they managed to squeeze the first Resident Evil game down for just a Game Boy to be able to play it. It's very rudimentary, very choppy, but it's Resident Evil, and I think the guy only wanted about 10 bucks for it, so I thought, yeah, let's try that out. The final Game Boy game I got was Pokemon Pinball. I've heard good things about this. I'd always wanted them to release it for the 3DS on the Virtual Console. They never did. So when I saw it for, well, I don't have the price tag on here. I think it was only a couple bucks. Yeah, the guy knocked a couple bucks off because it was missing the battery pack lid here. Yeah, this is another one. I thought it was Game Boy Color only, but we'll be able to try this out, so I'm looking forward to trying that one. Now, I mentioned before, this Space Invaders game has a bit of a little story to it. I didn't know this until I saw on Rerez, and I'll put a link down below. This game has a bit of a special version to it. Specifically the Space Invaders with the pink invader on it. If you put it in your Game Boy, yes, you're playing Space Invaders and all is good fun. But if you get a Super Game Boy, like I just did, you plug that into your Super NES, and it actually has a version of Space Invaders that is much more like the arcade machine. Like, it's got a back glass and scores very much like the original arcade unit. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out. It's apparently some kind of a hidden bit of code on the Space Invaders chip, cartridge. Put it into your Super Game Boy, plug that into your Super NES, and you get another version of Space Invaders, which is kind of like the arcade machine. And the final item is something that I just couldn't resist. It's a Nuka-Cola bottle opener, and it even has, you know, a little tray there for the bottle caps to fall into. If you play Fallout, you know all about how bottle caps are actually the local currency. Nuka-Cola is the well-known Coca-Cola sort of rip-off brand. And the guy who was selling this, I mean, he did all kinds of really nice items. You'll see some of the footage of his booth in my next video. He did a really nice Ghostbusters thing that I won't really spoil, but you'll see it. This is really, really cool. The guy who makes this is Nerd Wood Designs. Really, really awesome. I love the 1950s style of this thing. We do need a bottle opener because the one we have is, it's not very good. It keeps holding on to the bottle caps. The bottle caps will fall down and we'll be able to use them to make all of our purchases while in the wasteland. And before I go, a couple of pickups my wife got. We both really enjoyed Portal 2 for the PlayStation 3, and when she saw the orange box, which has the original Portal game on it, she just jumped at that opportunity. And speaking of jumps, she also got Alien Isolation, which there is no way in heck I'm ever going to play because I just don't like scary video games. I cannot handle them. I don't know what it is. I like scary movies. Scary video games, they scare the pants off me. And this one, that just looks way too frightening. But what's really cool is this one actually is the Nostromo content version, so you can play as Ellen Ripley. So I might do a video of me hiding down the hallway while she's playing this game. We'll see. Right, there it is. There are my pickups from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo for 2016. The show itself, as I say, it was fun. I enjoyed myself, but, well, check out my second video that talks about the event itself. But I'm very glad of all the stuff I got. I mean, my goodness, what a huge haul. And I'm looking forward to getting into all this retro goodness. All right, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.